There can only be one golden son of RosterWatch every year. And that title was given this last week by the staff to Travion Henderson, the running back in New England. We absolutely love him. We put it up for vote on the Saturday Big Fantasy Draft Show, and the fans picked Travion Henderson to be our golden son of 2025. But there was a player that finished second in voting. And if there was ever going to be a player or a year where you got a second Roster Watch Golden Sun, the ultimate compliment from the Roster Watch Nation staff, wouldn't it be Matthew Golden? Literally has the name Golden in his name. Wouldn't it make sense that Matthew Golden would be the next or the second or the bonus Golden Sun of 2025? If you go all the way back to the beginning of the rookie process, Alex Dunlap and I were on a number of shows talking about the wide receiver class, hyping up Matthew Golden before it was hot to hype up Matthew Golden. Now, were we cheating? Maybe a little bit. We both cover the Texas Longhorns for orangebloods.com. We might have been cheating a little bit. We got to watch Matthew Golden every single snap last year and see him become the number one wide receiver for the Texas Longhorns during his junior season. At 6 foot tall, 195 pounds, our comps were a little bit maniacal if you would have asked us them back in January. And we might not have been like, hey, let's run out and tell everybody our comps. Mine was Jordan Addison, Santonio Holmes. Alex's was Odell Beckham Jr. If you told people that in December and January, they'd say, he's not even, because this guy's not even going to go on day 2. He's going to be like maybe round 3, I should say. Maybe. And all of a sudden, Daniel Jeremiah pumps him up. Man, this is the best receiver in the class. Gets a little more bump, gets a little more pump. And all of a sudden, by March, he's looked at as not the consensus, but in the heavy conversation for the top receiver in the 2025 NFL draft class. He goes in round 1 to the team hosting the NFL draft. And he's not the number one wide receiver because that was obviously Travis Hunter and Ted Rowe McMillan. Emeka Egbuka goes a couple of spots ahead of him, but he goes 23rd overall to the Green Bay Packers. Matthew Golden is the player I'm talking about today. And Matthew Golden, if you read the reports coming out of Green Bay Packer camp, this is according to SI Reporter Jacob Westerdorf, about the absence of Matthew Golden in week 2. Perhaps the biggest endorsement for how important the Packers think he will be to their offense came during the team's second preseason game. Golden was not on the inactive list, but he did not play. That was true of every other key contributor on the roster who was not fighting for a roster spot on the field. There are a few other injuries in the Packers receiver room, most notably Christian Watson and Jaden Reed, who was in a boot, just got out of the boot. However, many of the Green Bay beat writers believe Matthew Golden has been the best receiver on the team during training camp. In week 1 of the preseason, he had 12 snaps at wide receiver, 1 catch, 7 yards. But if you go watch all the clips that have hit X over the last couple of weeks, Matthew Golden has been crushing in training camp for the Green Bay Packers. Now, a lot of it, quite a bit of it has come with Malik Willis. We'll have to just, that's the caveat, because Jordan Love has had a hand injury, so he hasn't been getting all the snaps. Matthew Golden over the last 2 weeks is the 10th highest ranked riser in ADP, right next to fellow Texas Longhorn Adonai Mitchell. He's jumped 20 spots up into the top 90. Talked about on other shows that Emeka Egbuka, Ricky Pearsall were in the 80s. Now they're in the 60s. We've seen Matthew Golden now jump out to the top 100, into the top 90, pushing towards 80th overall. If he's the top receiver for the Green Bay Packers, a team that hasn't drafted a wide receiver since the early 2000s, Javon Walker, and we love the guy. Again, we compared him to Odell Beckham and Jordan Addison, of all players. He was a 4-star wide receiver coming out of high school, spent 2 seasons at Houston, played a little bit with Sam Brown and Tank Dell, goes to Texas last year, ends up being the leading receiver on the team, next to Gunnar Helms in Tennessee and Isaiah Bond, who's in Cleveland, and played with a talented roster that has now 14 guys that are going to be on a roster in week 1. He's got an elite catch radius. He had 21 explosive plays in 2024, which was 4th in all of college football. That's of plays that are 20-plus yards downfield. 722 career kick return yards, 26 yards per. Deceptive download breakaway speed. That's not his game. His game is not the downfield domination. This is an all-around wide receiver. Yes, he's got a below average yards per route run, but because he played a lot in both inside and in the slot. Inside and outside. 6 receptions in a game just 7 times in his career. That's just 20% of the time. But if you think that this guy can take that next step forward, we talked about players that are getting drafted around him in the ultimate draft cheat sheet over at RosterWatch.com. It's Ricky Pearsall's, Jordan Addison's, Chris Godwin's of the world. If you're looking for upside, Jerry Jeudy's of the world, Deebo Samuel's of the world, Jameson Williams's. Would it shock you at all if Matthew Golden was the leading target getter on the Green Bay Packers in 2025? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. We don't expect that from Dobbs or Watson. Is it going to be Reed, the guy that we've seen more used in a Deebo Samuel role than anybody on this roster? They're going to run the ball with Josh Jacobs. They're going to be targeting Tucker Kraft heavily. And Matthew Golden is the new toy, the dynamo, the rookie. And on the ultimate draft cheat sheet at RosterWatch.com, you're going to get a sick value on Matthew Golden. And you might be the only one that knows better and that uses the ultimate draft cheat sheet from RosterWatch.com, ends up with Matthew Golden, a league winner that could be a second-round pick in fantasy football in 2026.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to Roster Watch.